Vivek Ramaswamy said something that it turns out wasn't true. You're saying that you were misquoted here. So we will take your word.
Yes.
You're saying that you were misquoted here. The quote in question there was this one from The Atlantic, from Mr. Ramaswamy, where he said, quote, "I think it is legitimate to say how many police, how many federal agents were on the planes that hit the Twin Towers. To be clear, there is zero evidence that the U.S. government had agents who were on the planes on 9/11. So I asked him to explain that quote. And on this show last night, Ramaswamy insisted that the reporter, John Hendrickson, had gotten his words wrong." But are you telling me that your quote is wrong here because it says how many federal agents were on the planes at the Twin Towers?
Yeah, when I actually, and this is just lifting the curtain on how media works again, I asked that reporter to send the recording because it was on the record. He refused to do it. But we had a free-flowing conversation.
After our interview, The Atlantic released the audio, more than 4 minutes of it, actually. And here is the part with that quote that was in question.
What is the truth about January 6th?
I don't know, but we can handle it. Whatever it is, we can handle it.
But what
government
is it?
agents, how many government agents were in the field? Right?
You mean like entrapment?
Yeah. Absolutely. Why can the government not be transparent about something that we're using terrorists, or the kind of tactics used to fight terrorists, if we find that there are hundreds of our own in the ranks of the day that they were, I mean, look.
Well, there's a difference between entrapment and a difference between a law enforcement agent identifying it.
I think it is legitimate to say how many federal agents were on the planes that hit the Twin Towers. Like, I think we want it. Maybe the answer is zero. Probably is zero, for all I know, right? I have no reason to think it was anything other than zero. But if we're doing a comprehensive assessment of what happened on 9/11, we have a 9/11 commission, absolutely that should be an answer the public knows the answer to.
You just heard it yourself. He was, in fact, quoted accurately. In an email to CNN after that audio was published, his spokesperson said, "The audio clearly demonstrates that Vivek was taken badly out of context, and even this small snippet proves that. We continue to encourage The Atlantic to release more of the recording rather than their carefully selected snippet so that the full context and reality is exposed." I should note that spokesperson did not explain how he was supposedly taken out of context. The reality is that Vivek Ramaswamy is running to be president of the United States. He will be on that debate stage tomorrow night. And he says this is a central message to his campaign.
This campaign is founded on the truth.
The truth.
We will not back down from the truth. We stand for the truth.
I'm a patriot who speaks the truth.
Well, the truth is, he did say it. The quote was accurate, and it is on tape. And yes, this is how the media works. You get quoted for things you say accurately.
This is Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy getting exposed for lying on national television. As Caitlin Collins does a good job of pointing out, he claimed that The Atlantic misquoted him when they published a quote of him pushing 9/11 conspiracy theories. He told Collins that he was misquoted when he talked about the possibility of federal agents on the hijacked planes on 9/11, which was an obvious attempt to co-opt the conspiracy theory that federal agents also orchestrated the January 6th insurrection to make Trump supporters look bad, and then apply it to the 9/11 attacks too. He then tried to use the claim that he was misquoted to make an example of how the media can't be trusted, saying, quote, "This is just the lifting of the curtain on how media works again." Only small problem, the journalist who quoted Vivek then followed up and published the actual audio, proving that he did say exactly what he denied he said. And while Vivek claims that this is just lifting the curtain on how media works, in reality, this is actually lifting the curtain on how Republican politicians lie and exploit culture wars for their own partisan gain. Vivek is running a con job operation that rivals even Donald Trump with the amount of snake oil he's selling to Republicans. Just the other day, we learned that Ramaswamy paid a Wikipedia editor to remove information about him on the website that made him look bad to Republican voters. For example, he removed information about his close relationship with a scientist who helped pioneer mRNA vaccines, which is clearly unacceptable to the anti-vax conspiracy theory MAGA crowd. He also paid the editor to remove information about him receiving a George Soros-affiliated fellowship, something that if MAGA voters found out about, probably wouldn't be over the moon. And not only that, the National Review also found out that he paid the editor to remove references to Ramaswamy's religion, which is Hinduism. It's almost like he knows how racist and xenophobic his own party's base is, so much so that he has to literally hide who he is to even have a chance at winning their votes. Because the right loves freedom of religion, so long as it's their own. Ramaswamy's also called to ban 18 to 24-year-olds from voting unless Gen Z voters undergo a government-mandated civics test to have their voting rights restored. And while we apparently need civics among young people, that need suddenly disappears for older generations who wouldn't be mandated to take that test. And it just so happens that those people vote for Republicans in higher rates than Gen Z. But I'm sure that's just a coincidence. I mean, honestly, Republicans are so afraid of young people exercising their right to vote that they're now just straight up calling to ban them from voting altogether. And rather than, try to actually appeal to those young people and earn their votes, their response is just to double down on MAGA extremism and voter suppression, because it was only ever about consolidating power for themselves. So I get that Ramaswamy is trying to play himself up as being different from all those other crooked politicians, but by virtue of the lies, he really is no different at all. Just like Trump and everyone else who was on that debate stage, all of those people will lie if it means getting your vote, because it's not about integrity, it's not about principle, it's not about value, it is about power, and that's all it'll ever be. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to this channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.